Hello, it's about 3 o'clock my time, so 2 o'clock Central. I'm in a slightly different place today because... Oops. Forgot I still had my, there we go. Should be alright. I am upstairs in the computer area. I have this hooked onto my husband's chair, so hopefully that'll work. I'm hoping you can see everything okay. I just get really tired of...
Question, you accidentally put my brother's economics in my, my thing?
Okay, I'll take care of it when I'm done, okay?
Okay.
Alright. We use Google Classroom, and I think I assigned something in the wrong area, but that's okay. Alright, there we go. And... It was just chemistry? Okay, I'll take care of it. So I'm going to get straight into the project I promised. It's called the Emerald Green Handwarmers. You'll find the original pattern at creativeyarn.blogspot.com. Hi, Gabriel. So if you are interested in this particular pattern, I posted the link in the in an earlier post, so you can get that. This particular one, she's not real specific about what the yarn weight is. So I looked it up, and her ball of 100% Merino's wool extra fine is actually a DK, a double knit weight. Oh, ha ha ha. Yeah, the president ain't gonna do. Anyway, I'm not gonna even go there. So it is a DK, a double knit, or a light worsted weight, size 3. I actually happen to have a skein of hand-dyed merino wool, because, you know, who doesn't? You can use worsted weight. It's just going to make it slightly bigger. Depending on how tight or loose you knit, could make it really bigger. So that's something to be aware of. And she says 4mm straight needles. That would be a number 6. So check the bottom of your needles. Make sure you get a number 6. If you find after you like created this that it's too small, go up a needle size. Use a size 7. That actually sometimes is all you might need to adjust a size, is to go up a needle size. Sometimes a yarn size, but a needle size going up or down will oftentimes give you a slightly smaller, slightly larger, or sometimes much larger or much smaller. It all depends on your tension. I already cast on the appropriate amount of stitches already. So they want you to cast on 34 stitches, so I've cast on 34. Hi! Oh! Thank you. I don't feel amazing most days, but I appreciate you saying so, sweetheart. Thank you. All right, so I'm also going to use my row counter today because you have you work in moss stitch, and she gives you what the stitches are. Moss stitch for 3 rows, then a stockinette for 12, and you end on a purl, and then you work her double moss stitch, which is a repetitive pattern of 4 rows. Hi, Kristen. Which is repetitive pattern for six times. So 6 times 4 is 24. So you have 24 rows, and you're going to end, and then ending with row 4 on that one, and then it's 4 rows in stockinette, and then 3 more in the moss stitch, and then you use a size. She has here. It says 5mm. That's like a 7 to bind off, and then you will fold this in half and sew it up, leaving an opening for your thumb. So let's get started with how to do. We're going to be doing, here's row 1. We're going to be starting the moss stitch. Now, moss stitch is, it's a knit purl, and then on the other side we're going to purl knit. When you have an odd number, you just knit purl the whole way across both sides. But this is an even number, so we're going to start with a knit 1, and then come forward. Oh, there we go. Now this particular yarn I'm using was dyed by a company called Tink Yarn, and they are, last I knew, out of Vegas. And they sent me these really pretty samples to try and do a review on them. Now I had done like a little sample piece with this particular wool, and I really liked it, and I love the color. But I ended up having to frog the project, and I don't remember why. So I've had this sitting for a while in a drawer, and lo and behold, it turns out it's a DK weight. So, all right, so this is then I've knit and purled, so I'm going to knit and purl again. And you do this all the way across for all 34 stitches. The other reason I wanted to try this spot is because I wasn't sure you get to see the color of this yarn downstairs, because it's hard to get natural light in that room. And the window here is south facing. So, and if you hear typing in the background, that would be my 18-year-old working on a novella, short story. I'm not real sure what he's got a science fiction story he's been writing, and he's got someone from his Discord who's helping him to do it. Okay. And remember to just, take your time. One of the things you'll notice when you really start getting into knitting or crocheting is the difference in the fibers. Now, I've told everybody to pick up, just inexpensive, acrylic yarn. And that's good for a lot of projects. It's great for blankets and things like that, but when you want to make something to wear, you want to get quality. And Red Heart, their acrylic with Love is actually very nice and soft, but it doesn't have a lot of uber stretch. Their regular, Super Saver has a lot of stretch, but it pills. Gets those little nubbies. A lot of people say they are allergic to wool, and I'm not disagreeing. There are people who are allergic to wool, but a lot of times it's that cheap, mass-produced sweater wool that you're getting the itchies from. And if you really are allergic to animal fibers, please, I'm not trying to disparage at all. I'm not. But there, if you've never been formally diagnosed, hello, Mindy. If you've never been formally diagnosed, then please, go and get some, go to a local yarn shop that has local dyers, local spinners, whatever, and just touch it. If you get your itchies, then don't do it. But if you don't, you'll see a world of difference in your knitting. It has a good 100% merino. Has such beautiful drape and stretch. It's no wonder they use them for socks. All right, we're on our last two, which is a knit stitch. Come on. And then a purl. All right, row one. That's what it should look like. Now, we're not doing a rib. We're doing a moss stitch. It starts out row two, and if you two. All right, so we're going to start. See, that's the problem. It's wants to focus down there. So we're going to start with a purl. This may not work as well as I wanted it to, because I've got too many things for my camera to look at. All right, we're starting with a purl, and then a knit. And we do that all the way across. You purl first, and then you knit one. Purl one, knit one, purl one, knit one. Pearl, that's knit one. Yep. And you'll be able to tell because that purl bump right there. Yep. So we're basically purling the knit stitches and knitting the purl stitches, which is the opposite of a rib, which is a knit the knit stitches and purl the purl stitches. I hope everyone had a nice weekend and that they're staying safe and doing their proper distancing. And if you work in the medical profession, I am praying daily for you. I know that this is going to be rough. Purl, knit, purl. And I pray that everyone stays safe. And if you don't pray, which is also perfectly wonderful and acceptable, well, duh. Anyway, that sounded really condescending, and I apologize. I'm knitting and my brain is disengaging from my mouth. You know, make sure you thank someone and do your part to help with this social distancing. All right, and we end on our knit. So this is what we have so far. Kind of a pretty little pattern. All right, so then the third row is going to be a repeat of the first row. So we're going to knit our first stitch and purl, knit, purl. And that goes all the way across. I thought my, the other thing is I'm close to the router now, so I'm hoping that I won't lose connection nearly as often. It's not always the case, mind you, but seems to be a little bit now. The reason I'm showing you the one where you knit flat and then seam it up is because that's often how it helps with beginning. You get it. You learn to you get to understand kind of the construction of the garments. I've never knit a sweater, just so everyone is aware. I have never done that. I did crochet myself a sweater once, and it was much too big because they used DK weight and I used worsted weight. And while it turned out really super cute, it was too big for me and it kind of hung off me. And it was supposed to be a boyfriend sweater, but it did not look good. And it had like those 80s shoulder pads. All right, so this is our 3 rows of moss stitch. You can see it's kind of a textured look to it, right? And moss stitch will often look like this. It'll have kind of a nubby looking texture to it. And that's what's nice. It's used in a lot of really pretty things. Okay, well, we don't need to know those anymore, so we can just kind of, we'll go back to square one because we've got our 3. Now the next section is stockinette for 12 rows. Okay, so stockinette, if you remember, is you knit 1 row all the way across, and then you purl the row coming back. So remember to knit, and this is just a plain old knit all the way across. So in this pattern, you are again really practicing your knit stitches and your purl stitches. And nothing is better than practice when it comes to getting this stuff done right. I practice every day. I I find that even if I end up frogging the pattern and starting over and just, getting the yarn back into its cake and figuring out something else, there's something very comforting to the rhythm, the click of the needles. Even if, metal, wood, plastic, there's something to the click of the needles and the feeling of yarn sliding over our fingers. It's not even that it's primeval, it just triggers something Zen-like in the brain. All right, so that's so next row is purl. If you don't have a clicker, if you don't have a yarn or a row counter, just get a scrap sheet of paper and a pencil and just make hash marks. It's actually how I did it for quite a long time until I got my little clicker thingy. All right, so this row is to be purl. All right, so purl all the way across. Remember, you can use your fingers to hold your yarn, move it around. This is very tactile, this particular little art. And it is an art. Even if you see it only as a hobby, it's still an art. This is an art form. I mean, we aren't doing this for survival necessarily anymore, not like we used to. Us being warm in the winter is not hinging usually upon our ability to create a garment out of, animal and plant fibers or what have you. But it allows you to be creative in a way that like if you feel you can't draw, anybody can draw, anybody can paint, anybody. It's like from Ratatouille. Anybody can cook, and anybody can. And that's the point of it, the beauty of it. Anyone can do these. Anyone can create any of this stuff. All it takes is a little time and patience and a love for the skill. If you don't love it, you don't want to do it, then there's nothing wrong with that. You'll find that you will, even if it's just making chains or making just a stockinette or a garter stitch, scarf, whatever you want to do. And the reason I haven't started everybody on scarves is because everybody starts on scarves. A scarf is easy. I want to give you something different to start with. And also try to highlight some independent and small designers and stuff, because they're hurting too. So we're knitting this row, or row 3. Our odd rows for this section are our knit stitches. I'm not going to go super slow on these unless you really, really need me to. But you'll find that as you get going that it just becomes kind of I can knit faster, but I don't really like to. I like to relax while I'm doing it. So you get kind of a speed. I hope everyone that has children is doing okay with the little goblins being home. So many people, I interacted with a lovely young lady this morning with my knit and crochet group, and we're doing virtual meetups with messenger video calls. And even though Dad's home, they want Mom. And not only do they want Mom, they want to be on Mom, in Mom's space, that sort of thing. So you can kind of see now, we're starting to get that stockinette, and you can see the difference, the little nubbliness. This could be fun with a self-striping yarn. if you wanted to do that. I don't have any DK self-striping right now, but you can find some that do that. I'm gonna adjust this slightly so I can lean back a little bit. Come on, work with me, camera. There we go. Ugh, it wants to focus on my husband's chair. Not the chair, on me. There we go. All right. So 4th row is a purl row. And if you're wondering, yes, I'm actually going to go through pretty much this whole pattern today. So it's going to be a long haul. It's a quick, and by quick I mean in an afternoon, if you are pretty skilled, you can make these, both of them. In my case, I'm probably only going to get to 2. I'm going to get most of the way through. You probably all get bored, or I might just get part way today and then finish it up tomorrow so I can get to the point where I can show you where to sew it. And again, while you're doing this, if it feels like these are too small, remember they're supposed to have, there's this thing called negative ease, and if you've ever sewn anything, you'll know what that means. Is it means it fits close to the body. It's not a loose fit. And these will have a snug fit. If they are too small, like I said, go up a needle size. You can also add 4 stitches. Instead of casting on 34 stitches, cast on 38. Because this appears to be multiples of 4. So that will give you a little more room, but realize it could also make it a little too big. So I recommend go up a size in needle. If that's still too small, then go back down a needle size and add 4 stitches. All right, so we are now on number 5. Go a little quiet for a moment. You can hear birds chirping outside. Whoops. This isn't ideal. I was hoping to have this sitting on my desk while I did this, so I could lean a little different. But this works. I might try my couch next time. The thing is, it's a little far away from the router. It's like the opposite side of the house. And so my worry is I would end up having this cut out a lot. And so far it's been really nice right here. So I might just need to figure out something to wrap my little tripod around. It's got those flexible legs. That'll allow me to sit better. Hi Tara, hope you're doing good. Alright, really starting to get it going here. Alright, so we're on row 6, halfway through. Reminded of that SpongeBob episode where he and Sandy are racing and they're already halfway there. I gotta sit forward a little, there we go. Oh, we miss you too, Tara. We miss you and your brother and your parents so much. But you know, I mean, this is what we had to do. Man, I remember we had some fun sleepovers with you guys. They were a lot of fun. Hi, Brent.
Hi.
Tara's watching.
Hi. Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, I figured you did. Uh-oh.
Ooh.
You okay? Hey, would you do me a favor and go downstairs and get those 2 Star Wars? No, just go to my room and get me a pillow.
Yeah.
For my back. Thank you.
Pillow for mama.
Thank you, big guy.
Hi.
Hello.
There you go.
Thank you.
Got a nice pillow on your back.
Yes, I do have a pillow on my back now. Keep me forward so I can do this.
Who's taking a Stop, dude.
Hey, guys.
But no,
What?
everyone. Well, I've just started on the 3rd chapter of my book, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually very excited about that.
I'm very glad to hear that.
So yeah.
Well, you know what? Keep plugging away. It's always a good thing.
Keeps me happy.
As long as it keeps you happy. All right, so one of the things you'll notice is the side. It has kind of a... When we sew it up, you're going to be catching into those loops. Because we're going to seam it together. And the back side's going to look very nubbly. Because that's the reverse stockinette side. No, my fingers are just fine. I love doing this. If I could just quit tapping that. 7. We're on 7. 5 to go after this. I do try to take breaks. One thing that you will do, you should never marathon knit. That sounds kind of funny coming from a woman who sits there and, knits every day. But for every 20 minutes of knitting or crocheting, stop, stretch your hands. Get up, walk around, whatever. Get a drink of water. Because you can develop basically like tennis elbow or any of those things that really, hurts the hands. If you have arthritis, please be careful. Use compression gloves if you like. But always give yourself breaks. And when I finish this row, I'll show you a couple of little stretches you can use for your hands. But stretch your shoulders, roll your neck out a little bit to make sure there's no kinks in it. If you can, sit with your feet flat or out slightly on like a hello, Christy. If you have like a footstool, you can elevate them. Try to sit on your sit bones. Okay, so there we have round 7 done. You can see it looks really nice. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a minute. You want to stretch your fingers out. Really get them, because you can end up with your hands all cramped up and looking like this. Really straighten them out. Give them a good stretch. Gently rotate the wrists a little bit. Give them a good shake. I put on pants today. Pretty proud of myself. Normally I'm wearing pajama pants, but today I put on some jeans. Why? Because, one, I was getting a delivery from Target and I felt like not looking like like I usually do. I needed douching. Give your fingers a little rest. Good to go. Alright, so we are on row 8. Row 8 is a purl row. Even rows are purl on this particular stockinette. That first purl stitch can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. So I always kind of hold my yarn a little differently before I begin purling because I got to get that first stitch on the needle and it can be a little difficult. However you find you need to do it. If the, and always, always take breaks, stop, push things around. Make sure you're not going up over the tip here. That's very easy to do, and then you get too tight. And when it gets too tight, it's hard to get those needles in there, especially if you're using like a plastic. They tend to be a little duller on the edge. This is not a lace needle tip, but it does have a pretty nice taper on it. There are different needles have different tips for different jobs. Most all-purpose needles are going to be a little dull, and they're going to have a fairly short neck on them like this, or taper, fairly short taper. Lace needles, ones that have specifically been designed to do it, are 9 times out of 10 going to be metal, and they're going to have a longer taper and a much pointier end. And those are for the use with lacy style knitting, like like with a lot of yarn overs and stuff, because it's easier to get your needle in to those little with that lace weight, that 0 lace weight, or 1 size 1 yarns, because that's really that's what you need to get in there. I hear somebody banging around downstairs, and it's not my husband. I think it's a kid. Are your kids eating you out of house and home? Mine are certainly trying. Yelled at my husband and told him he couldn't get anything that had individual wrappers anymore. 9. Ooh, we've almost got through that 12. 9, because it's an odd row, is a knit row. So knit stitch. Sounds like an Isaac. Might be down bothering the cat. Nope, maybe it's Brendan. I don't know. They're supposed to be working on their schoolwork. Will they be? Probably not. But between the hours of 9 and 5, they are not to have the TV on, unless Mom is watching a documentary with them. And they need to be doing something. Reading, schoolwork, that sort of thing. Hi, Isaac.
Hi.
What are you doing to the cat?
Yeah.
Poor cat. It is the most patient cat. Isaac, don't lock him in your room. Thank you. Isaac, or Ponger, bites Isaac on the feet because, you know. All right, and 34. Now you really can tell the difference now. All right, 10. We're almost to the point where we're going to do the double moss. And it's repeating it for like 24 rows. All right. So I think what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to show you the beginning of the moss stitch. It's Pearl Alyssa. Hello. Bring your yarn to the front. I hope if anyone is actually doing these projects, I'm hoping you'll like take a picture and put it in a comment or something so I can see, hi Jay, so I can see what you've been working on, or if you're just working on something completely different. I would really love to see what y'all are doing. I'm always taking pictures of the weird stuff I'm doing, so I would really love to see what everyone is up to. And if I've been able to help you at all. You know, I'm not looking for accolades or anything. I want to know if this is actually helpful or not, or if there's something different I can do to help you get through this. Or if you need me to find you a better way to do something. You know, a different YouTuber or something who's got maybe we'll definitely have a better setup, because They've invested some money in theirs. This tripod, which I really love because you can wrap it around stuff to hold the camera steady, was a gift from my friend Matthew Allen, aka Matt Fry. And because he just was awesome that way. And I do have like a camera, but it's older now, like a video camera, but it's older, and the quality is just not as high anymore as it used to be. So, all right, we're on number 11. I'm not going to use the clicker now because I know where I'm at. I don't have to keep track. So this is my last knit row before we get to the double moss. And you can see, I mean, I've been doing this for what? How long have I been on here? Close to half an hour, but I've also been talking and stretching and stuff. But within like a half an hour, you can already get almost halfway through the project. Oh, thank you. Hi, Shelly. But within a half an hour, I mean, this is a fast little project. Nice to see you, young lady. All right, so we're almost there to the end of the knit. Getting there. And 34. Ta-da! All right, so now, and you'll notice it curls. That's the nature of stockinette. Curls on the edges, it'll curl up on the side. That's okay. But you should have a pretty nice even fabric. And there's a bit of stretch to this. So even if it looks like it's too small right now, it probably won't be once you finally get it together. And if it is too small, make both of them and donate them. Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry, Shelly. I should be working on some masks, but the kids and I don't go anywhere hardly at all, especially lately. Hi, Christine. All right, remember this is our row 12 is a purl. Makes me think of Minnie Pearl. If any of you ever used to watch Hee Haw. I was never much for country music, honestly, but I loved Hee Haw. It was just funny, and of course, you know, everyone in my family watched Hee Haw. But that's back when variety shows were kind of a thing. Kevin and I have recently found, you know, reconnected with our love of Carol Burnett. We've been watching her outtakes and bloopers on YouTube, and I'll tell you what, that elephant story never gets old. Oh, and I think it's not because the story itself is all that funny. It isn't. What's funny is watching Vicki Lawrence and Carol Burnett and Tim Conway and Dick Van Dyke laugh or try not to laugh until they finally just collapse. They're just done. And so, all right, everybody. Yeah, back when 6 channels existed is pretty accurate. All right, so at this point, you've got your 12. Yeah, that says 10, I know, but you've got your 12. Now let's start our count over because we've got to do the double moss stitch. And the double moss stitch is 2 rows of knit 1, purl 1, and 2 rows of purl 1, knit 1. So we're going to start row 1. And we're showing our age, Shelley, when we say, yeah, back when there were 3 channels, 6 channels. I remember only being able to get like 3 because we lived in the country and the aerial only connected with like ABC, CBS, and NBC, and that was all you were getting. Oh, no, you could get PBS too. So all of those. All right, so we're going to be doing knit 1, purl 1 across for the beginning of our double moss stitch. I remember we had this little black and white TV. Remember, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1. And once a year, they would show the movie, and I can't remember what radio or what TV station did this, but they would show you the movie Wizard of Oz. And Mom tells the story of me being a little girl, and she was out helping my dad with the milking. She came in, and I was laying on the couch, sobbing my heart out because Dorothy couldn't go home to see her Auntie Em. And it just broke my heart, and I sobbed and sobbed because she couldn't go home to Auntie Em. And that was apparently just how I handled that. But when I got older and would have chores, and this little, I mean, we sold out when I was 10. So I was probably 8, 9 years old at this point. And we would take that little black and white TV and put it on a tray. And as Dad would milk, he'd move it down. And we would watch, while we were doing chores, The Wizard of Oz. I actually helped milk cows until I got kicked across the gutter. We had a milk transfer system. So you had the hose assembly with the little teat holders, and you suck it on the teats, and it would go from they would rhythmically suck the milk out of the teats into a can. And then when it was done, you would see it kind of making this, there's a little indicator. And so you would go and you would tap the cow. Okay, so I'm sorry. We are now on 2 of the double moss. Double moss, we do the same thing we just did. You knit 1, purl 1. Okay? So, knit 1, purl 1 across. And so I knew how to do that. So I went to go get the milker, and it's been so long I can't remember the name of the apparatus, but I went to go get it off her teats. But I didn't know that she was a new heifer, that she was only used to my dad, because Dad was helping another cow, and so was my mom, so it was just me. So I went over and I did what you're supposed to do, and I patted her on her side so she would know I was there, because they need to know you're there, or they get scared because they can't see you. And I patted her to let her know, and I bent, I squatted down to take the milker off her, and I felt her hoof scrape right across my thigh, but it didn't register what had happened, and then I felt her hit right square between the ribs, hit me right in the solar plexus, right? And she kicked me right across the gutter, and I landed in the middle of the aisle. Wind completely kicked out of me. Of course, Mom's, like, oh my God, what happened? I mean, I was sitting on my butt in the middle of the aisle going, trying to catch my breath. I had a pretty good hoof shake mark there for a while. Of course, my dad had to go and finish getting that off the cow because, what are you going to do? You can't leave it on the cow. I wasn't allowed to help after that. Mom and Dad got kind of scared, so I was just stuck feeding calves. All right, so that's the back side. Here's the front side. Okay.
What's she making?
They are called the emerald green handwarmers. All right, so we're on row 3. Now we're going to do the opposite. We are going to purl 1, knit 1 across, both front and back. Okay, so you start out purl 1. and then you knit one. And if it's curling up around you, just move it out of the way. So yeah, that was one of the things that happened to me when I was a kid growing up and getting kicked over the gutter. See, I was small enough and light enough, and cows are strong enough. They got me pretty good.
You essentially got yeeted.
I got yeeted. Yep, yeeted across. But I mean, it was an interesting way to grow up. You know, I mean, you learn a lot of responsibility when you're a kid, and those animals depend on you for food and shelter and care. You've got to take good care of them, because that's one, it's your livelihood, but two, it really sucks. I mean, Dad had to put down a couple of animals because they got sick. And it's not something he liked doing. It's not something I don't think any farmer really likes to do. I don't know of anyone who enjoyed, having to put down an animal that they've invested, a lot of time and energy and effort into. There's a form of love in that. So, okay, knit. Last, purl and knit. All right, so then row 4, you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to start with a purl stitch. And you're going to knit. Then purl and knit. So you're going to repeat that 4 row pattern for six times, which means 24 rows. Now I'm going to stop after this row just for today. I'm probably going to finish up this part, and I'm going to get to the point of bind off for tomorrow. So if you're following along, I hope you went to the website and got the pattern itself. If you're following along, you do it for 24 rows. Then after, when you get to the end of row 4, so you row 24, when you get to the end, you're going to do stockinette, which is knit on the right side, purl on the wrong side for 4 rows. And then you're going to do the last 3 rows in, you're going to do the last 3 rows in the original moss stitch, which is so row 1, so on the right side, you're going to do a knit 1, purl 1, wrong side, purl 1, knit 1, right side, knit 1, purl 1, and then we're going to bind off. So please go get that from creativeyarn.blogspot.com, and I did have a link directly to the pattern, and I'll redo that. And we'll get to the point of bind off tomorrow, and I'll show you how to do it with a bigger needle. Okay, so this is what you've got so far. Okay, and it is going to be a little small, but you can see that there's stretch. So it'll stretch to fit your big old hands. Trust me on that one. Okay. So this was what I'm going to put down for now. I promised some stitches of the day. I'm just going to show them to you. I'm not going to really demo them unless you really want me to. Oh, see, I got to give my hands a break. All right, so here we've got our 365 knit stitches of the year. And I did Saturday and Sunday as well. So Saturday, the 4th, was the stockinette triangles. Okay? These are multiples of 5, so you would count 5, 10, 15, 20, right? You knit the first side, knit 1, purl 4 on row 2, row 3, knit 3, purl 2. Row 4, you repeat that row again. Row 5, you repeat row 2 again. And row 6, you knit. And what you get if I can find it. Which one is it? Is it this one? Yep. And what you get, and see I did my usual garter border on these. Okay, so what you get are these stockinette triangles with reverse stockinette triangles over them. Okay, the back side has them reversed. So either side would work very well. I also did, like I said, for Sunday, this one's called the Lichen Twist. This one was a little crazy. And I might demo this to show you what a cross two back. This one I had to, they actually explain on here how to do it. Okay? So that one, I'm going to find which one I did that on. This one? Yep. So this is, I did not do my usual garter border on this one. It looks a little messy. I think it's just the color of the yarn doesn't show up very well. But I want to demonstrate some of the twists that you can do with knitting. So you start off this one. Oh, nope. We're tangled. So this one you start off with a knit through the back loop all the way across. Now to knit through the back loop is to go into the back loop front to back, yarn over, pull it through, slide it off. Okay? And that's all the way across. Go into the back, pull it off. And it just gives the yarn a slightly different twist. Come on. Okay. Part of it is my phone wants to focus on the wrong things. All right. And yes, I really do have several different sets of size 8 needles. Some of these I inherited over time from different persons who've either quit knitting or they just saw them and decided to give them to me. Come on. Now for this one it says multiples of 4 plus 2. So I cast on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So I've cast on 18 stitches to do this. Because I feel you need a minimum of 3 repeats to really get the idea of what a stitch pattern does. And I mean, if you get going on this, you can turn the whole thing into a scarf or a panel for a knit blanket, bookmark. Come on. Ugh, there we go. Sorry, it keeps going out of focus because I'm trying to do this while talking and looking through a camera lens and come here. Ish kabibble. All right. It It looks an awful lot like, you know, it normally does, but it does do a slightly different twist. So for row 2, we're going to purl through the back loop all the way across. And I've shown you this before. Basically, you're going through the loop like this. Make sure your yarn's in front. Okay. So, purling through the back loop. Come on, here we go. I do put these on YouTube so you don't have to like try to find them on my page if you are interested in them. Oh, come on. Yeah, this one was a little bit of a pain in the butt. Okay. Getting really annoyed with this one. I'm just going to real quick try to do this without trying to do this over here, because I've shown you this stitch before, the purl through the back loop, and it's hard to do with it not being upright. Like I have to hold it like this by my head to get it right. Because you almost have to be looking down the left needle and pushing things around with your fingers in order to get this to work. And they don't tell you that in a lot of things. They make it look so easy, but a lot of them have been doing this a lot longer than I have. I've been barely doing this a decade. Yeah, I learned when I was 9, but when I hit 35, I had to quit smoking. I had to. It was bad for me. I hadn't been doing it for like years and years and years and years. I'd only been doing it for a few years. But I still, once you get smoking, it takes a rare person to be able to quit cold turkey. My grandma Marie was able to do that. She did it. She had high blood pressure, and doctor said, you got to quit smoking, and she did. I, on the other hand, I had to taper and give myself something else to do. And I had to learn to associate the feeling I got from having a cigarette with something else. And the funny thing is, I still want to have a cigarette, but I don't actually want to go out and buy a pack. So either it's my inherent laziness, which I would totally agree is part of it. I am a sloth of a human some days. I have to laugh. Hi, Brittany. No, I really don't want to give everybody just a picture of my legs. I'm really doing something. I'm almost there. But, you know, it really did help a lot with that. Plus, I mean, if you have depression, it gives you something to focus on, which I desperately need when there are days when all I can do is sit and use a hook or a needle to create something so that I don't lose my mind. All right, we're getting to... Oh, there we go. Ha! Come on. Last one, you little bugger. Ha! Ha ha ha. I did it. Now to give myself a little more yarn. All right. So it does make stockinette, but you can see it just has a slightly different twist to it than the usual stockinette. There. Now here's regular stockinette. And there's that one. And it's slightly different. The twist is a little different. Okay. So now we're going to do, this is the one with a cross 2 back. This one was kind of interesting. So we start with a purl 2. Oh. 1. 2. Then it tells me to cross 2 back, purl 2. So to cross 2 back, you knit, not into this stitch, but into this stitch. Huh? Yarn over. But don't, wait a minute. I'm gonna double check. Sometimes yep. So go through the back, pull your yarn through, but don't slide the needles off or the stitches off. Knit into this one normal. Then slide it off. Okay, so then purl 2. Come here. Okay, so I purled 2 again. Knit into that second stitch. Give yourself, you might have to, tug a little, give yourself a little room. Go into that first stitch. Slide them both off. You can see it's giving it a twist. Purl 2. Knit into the second stitch. Give yourself a little wiggle. Go into that first stitch. Ta-da! Purl 2. Knit into the second stitch. Knit into the first stitch. Purl 2. And it gives it basically almost, it's like a faux cable on there. So that's kind of, I'm not going to do any more with this one because it's really annoying me right now. But it will, pay attention to your pattern. It will tell you what you need to do. I wonder if I did this on the right one. Nope, I did this on the twisted basket weave. I think I need a drink. Yep. Yep. Yep, I did. Well, anyway, that was a script for the day. We're done. It's Monday. I need coffee again. And it looks like it's going to rain out there. So, yay! Come back tomorrow for the second half of the emerald green yarn handwarmers. And I will have it done to the point where I can show you binding off and sewing it together. So you can have that done. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to probably scrap the stitch of the day unless I find a really cool stitch that I think I want to show you, because those were irritating to do in the first place. And I really don't want to do them again. So it's okay. If you come across a stitch that you would like me to demonstrate, because you're not sure how to do it in a pattern, please let me know. Get me a link to the pattern and I can help you. Love you too. I love everybody. Please stay calm and safe. Mask up when you go outside. Love your kids up. And again, those of you in the medical profession and those of you who are making sure we have groceries, deliveries, and food and necessary supplies, you are so thanked right now. So, hi, Ponger. So everyone, stay safe. Same time tomorrow, 2 o'clock. I will show you how to finish up your glove. Bye-bye.